Hi, my name is Stella Nyanzi. I want to welcome you to my fourth in a series live Facebook video, which I decided to start in response to what I witnessed, the dehumanization of a friend of mine called Akenke. Akenke is a Ugandan asylum seeker who I found in a new living space last week on Otto Robert Koch Strasse in Munich. Akenke had been shifted to this space and given a room with a young man that she had not consented to. The young man is a bisexual who is also polygynous, and when she objected against this sharing of a room with a man, Akenke was then shifted to a room that had one bed, and she was forced to share that room with a woman. Although Akenke and this woman were strangers, when Akenke asked that she be shifted to another room, that other sleeping arrangements be made for her, the people who were responsible for doing this did not provide alternative sleeping arrangements. In fact, they said to her, "You are a lesbian." And when I asked 3 security guards on Sunday, when I visited this living accommodation on Otto Robert Koch Strasse in Munich, I asked 3 guards, and they assaulted me verbally by telling me, "She is a lesbian, your sister from Uganda is a lesbian, all women asylum seekers from Uganda are lesbians." I challenged them about this stereotyping of Ugandan women. It is nationalizing an issue and generalizing about who we are. That is false. It is also homophobic and transphobic. It is racist, and I challenged them about it. When I did, they countered me, and in the process I took a picture of the 3 security guards and I posted it on my Facebook account. Now, they reported me to the police because I took their photo without consent, and I insist there is no way that a criminal can allow a person to take a photograph that's going to incriminate them. And so I have refused to take down my Facebook post which had their photograph, and so I am facing a police case, which I would like to escalate to whatever level. I want to go to court, because going to court then brings this issue of the treatment of Ugandan women asylum seekers within the German asylum protection system. My name is Stella Nyanzi, and because I have been challenged by people who want to silence me against speaking out about this injustice, I have decided to speak every day about Akenke and issues related to the oppression, the dehumanization, the suffering, the plight of Ugandan women and men and other gendered asylum seekers who are living in Germany. Today I want to talk about silence and silencing, because people are saying to me, "Stella Nyanzi, shut up. You don't know enough about the asylum system in Germany." In fact, a friend of mine, a white German man, a homosexual German man, has said to me, "The asylum system in Germany is among the best in the world. You cannot be criticizing the German asylum system." And I say to this German friend of mine, "Excuse me, don't be a colonizer of my thinking. My thinking is that if indeed it is the best or one of the best asylum processes in the world, allow us to interrogate what happens, because if indeed it is providing sufficiently and respecting the human dignity of the asylum seekers that it's taking care of and protecting in accordance with the Convention for Refugees of 1951, then if we interrogate and open and see what's inside, if we examine and assess it, it will rank highly. Now, this German friend of mine is one of very many other people, including Ugandans, who are telling me, "Stella, shut up. Be silent. Don't speak out. Why are you talking? It's not your issue." And I want to say that I do not have to be the ozone layer to fight for the rights of the world's climate. I don't have to be a cloud to fight for climate justice. I don't have to be a tree to fight for environmental justice and environmental rights. I don't have to be a chicken to fight for animal rights. I don't have to be a child to fight for children's rights. I don't have to be a black person to fight against racism. I don't have to be a homosexual to fight against homophobia. I am a human being and a human rights defender. And when I see the oppression of other human beings, especially human beings with whom I share agenda, they are women, I'm women, human beings who are the same nationality as myself, they are Ugandans, human beings who are forced migrants, displaced from home. I am an exiled writer. They are asylum seekers. Although we may have different citizenship statuses, we are all forced migrants. We are displaced, we are dispossessed, we are foreigners in a land that's not necessarily our home, a land that's giving us protection. So when I decide to speak out about the plight of this asylum seeker from Uganda, this young woman, I explained in the second video that I made that she actually is a graduate from Makerere University where I graduated. She studied law. I studied mass communication and literature at Makerere University. So there's so many commonalities. And her pain, her suffering, the indignity, the dehumanization that she went through, that I witnessed and tried to challenge, but I'm being criminalized because I called out the system for misgendering, for segregating, for putting two adults in the same bed simply because they're asylum seekers. People who are trying to silence me don't realize that I share so many similarities with this young asylum seeker. And so I'm not going to keep quiet. While many asylum seekers who are waiting for their process to happen, they're waiting for their refugee status determination to be made. They're waiting to gain refugee status. In Germany, they cannot speak. While they cannot speak, I am going to speak out because you know what? As an exile, my time in Germany is limited. As an exile, I don't really matter because they seek to stay in Germany. I may return home. If I'm deported by the system in Germany because I am speaking out about the way it oppresses Ugandan asylum seekers, so be it. Here's the thing about refusing to see commonalities, to see our common humanity. People who are telling me you're not an asylum seeker, you're not a young person, this young person doesn't have children like you do, fail to see the shared humanity between myself as an exiled writer, an exiled scholar, an exiled political dissident, and this young person who's an asylum seeker going through a process that I have not gone through. However, she's a woman like me. If she menstruates, I menstruate too. Imagine sharing a bed with a complete stranger for the 5 days or 3 days or 7 days of your menstruation. You know, she may be in her 20s and I turn 50 years old next month. But this age difference does not take our humanity away. When I saw her tears, I thought about my own daughter Baraka and thought, oh my God, what if Baraka decided to apply for asylum? When my exile scholarship ends, what if Baraka decides to apply for asylum? Is Baraka going to go through the very same system that oppressed my friend Akenke? How can I afford to keep quiet in my 50s when children who are 20s, in their 30s, even comrades and sisters in their 40s are being oppressed in Germany? In Germany of all places, my people. Why am I being silenced? Audre Lorde, one of the most amazing black women who inspire my thinking and my activism, cautioned us and said to us that our silence will not protect us. Silence does not protect anybody. It is important, therefore, that we speak out A young Ugandan police officer called Moyogwa Gwanga, Muhammed Kirumira, said, if you're silent, they will kill you. If you speak, they will kill you. So it's better that you speak out and let them know, because at the end of the day, the oppressor is going to kill you whether you are silent or whether you spoke out. It is important that those of us who are in places of privilege, those of us who have voices that reach far, and I include myself in those two categories. I may not be wealthy, I may not be a citizen, I may not be white, I may not be a man, I may not be all those hegemonious positions of power that make people powerful and privileged in this world. However, I have a voice, and I have a mind, and I have eyes that see and ears that hear, and I have a Facebook timeline. If I have a Facebook space, I am going to dedicate my Facebook timeline to the issue of Akenke and other young Ugandan asylum seekers who are being terrorized by people who are supposed to give them safe custody and protection under the mandate of the United Nations High Commission for Refugees and the German refugee protection system and structures. People say to me, well, Stella, why are you very vocal about this person? She's not your daughter. She's not your sister. She's not your cousin. She's not from your clan. She's not even from your tribe. She's not a Muganda. She does not come from Southwest Uganda. In fact, she comes from Eastern Uganda. We don't share anything in common, apart from the fact that we are both Ugandan elites who are evicted by persecution from our home country, Uganda. If you're so different from her, why are you passionate about her issue? Why are you passionate about speaking against the oppression that she faced? Well, Akenke reminds me of another young person. In 2021, I was an asylum seeker with my 3 children in a protection house in Nairobi, Kenya. A young person called Trinidad Jerry, an asylum seeker living in Kakuma refugee settlement, faced the most dehumanizing forms of oppression. After many years and months of speaking out about the way that the UNHCR as well as the Kenyan Refugee Affairs Secretariat was treating refugees in that camp, they were treating asylum seekers in that camp in ways that were totally dehumanizing, in ways that were very segregating, with a lot of discrimination, and hate crimes and hate speech were daily bread. They were occurring on the everyday. All of these things that I've spoken about, the forms of discrimination and segregation and oppression, were being carried out, perpetrated by both refugees and asylum seekers, as well as staff of NGOs, of international organizations, of Refugee Affairs Secretariat, of the Kenyan police and military, but also of the UNHCR, who were located in Kakuma refugee settlement. Now, Trinidad is a young Ugandan person who was waiting for their refugee status to be determined, and after many years, many months of speaking against the violence and violations of human rights that refugees in Kakuma settlement were facing, one night Trinidad went to sleep together with a friend called Jordan in the same space in Block 13. Now, many people know about this story, but I want to tell this story because Akenke's oppression triggered memories and the trauma I faced on the night when I saw photos of Trinidad Jerry. That night, a petrol bomb was thrown into the accommodation in which Trinidad Jerry was sleeping, simply because Trinidad Jerry had been speaking out against the oppression that asylum seekers in Kenya were facing. The petrol bomb fell on the mattress which Trinidad Jerry was sharing with a friend called Jordan. The petrol bomb lit up, it set their space on fire, the mattress caught fire, Trinidad and Jordan both sustained second-degree burns, severe injuries onto their bodies. Their feet were burnt, their legs were burnt, and one of them had their genitals burnt as well. That is what dehumanization does. Now I'll tell you what happened. The following day, Trinidad Jerry was taken to a clinic that is run by the International Rescue Committee inside Kakuma refugee settlement. However, Trinidad was only given painkillers because although they have a wonderful structure that is built to give healthcare services to refugees, they did not actually have supplies. They did not have medicines to give to people who had more serious sorts of healthcare needs. And so after 2 days of observation by other asylum seekers and refugees, an alarm was made because Trinidad and Jordan's condition was deteriorating. Now, people who silence those of us who speak out, people who silence whistleblowers should stop this habit because of the whistleblowing of the asylum seekers who raised their voices, made Facebook posts and Twitter tweets and other sorts of intervention on social media. Trinidad and Jordan were transferred to Lodwar Hospital in Turkana area, which is very close to where the Kakuma, I think it's the closest hospital to Kakuma refugee settlement. Again, the level of injuries and burns that the two had sustained, given the 2 days that had passed without adequate care, the burns were too serious to be handled and managed safely, appropriately at that regional hospital. Alarms were made, Facebook posts were made, tweets were tweeted, Instagram photos were circulated, appeals were made, social media was ablaze with calls for somebody to intervene in the situation on behalf of Trinidad and Jordan. After some pressure, online pressure had been built, both Trinidad and Jordan were airlifted by UNHCR to Kenyatta National Referral Hospital in Nairobi City. After about a month, it's unfortunate that Trinidad Jerry died. Trinidad Jerry died. An asylum seeker waiting for refugee status determination in a refugee settlement under the mandate of United Nations High Commission for Refugees, as well as the Kenyan Refugee Affairs Secretariat, died because of homophobic oppression, which the refugees and asylum seekers in Kenya from Uganda had been crying about for years. Trinidad Jerry died because of negligence and silence of those who could have spoken about the issue. Trinidad Jerry died when I was an asylum seeker, living in Kenya in a high-raised tower with my children. I was protected. I had my health care met. I was among the people who first circulated calls and photographs, the burnt body of Trinidad. I was among the people who were insulted to the maximum by Ugandans back home, as well as Kenyans in Kenya. The Kenyans threatened to deport me because I was speaking out against the oppression, the hate crime, the hate speech, the discrimination and segregation that Trinidad Jerry and other refugees and asylum seekers from Uganda living in Kenya were being exposed to. Now, had I spoken out much harder, much earlier, more consistently, perhaps something would have been done to change the plight of the refugees and asylum seekers in Kenya. Had I spoken harder and louder and more consistently, perhaps Trinidad Jerry would be alive. Perhaps Jordan would not have burns. Perhaps. And so when you hear me speaking about Akenke, When you see me refusing to stop talking about Akenke, it is for a reason. I come from a history where I witnessed another young Ugandan, Trinidad Jerry, dying during asylum processing because of the silence against homophobic oppression that was meted out to Trinidad, as well as other Ugandan asylum seekers. I am not a mad woman. Some people have said she is mad. She's not going to keep quiet. Okay, if it takes madness to speak out about the oppression of Ugandan asylum seekers living in Germany, I am a mad woman. And those of you who are trying to silence me, I come from places you haven't been. Don't throw your white privilege at me because you don't know what I carry in my womb, in my memory. You don't know how I am re-traumatized by the everyday going-goings in this country. It is wonderful, although very sad and unfortunate, that I got the opportunity to experience firsthand what happens when a black woman speaks out and says, "Why are you doing this?" The police was immediately called. I have a police case against me because I asked, because I'm a black woman, because black women must be silent about their oppression. Black women have been forced to be silent when they observe the oppression of other black women in these white countries where we live. And I'm saying I will not be silenced. If speaking out on behalf of this young woman is a sign and a symptom of mental illness, I want to implore more people to fall mad. More people must become insane so that we can speak out against oppression, my people. If sanity, being mentally upright, calls for silence in the face of oppression, I don't want to be sane. I want to fall mad and speak loudly against oppression. And so I'm not going to be silenced because in honor of the memory of Trinidad Jerry and so many other Ugandan asylum seekers and refugees who have been murdered by the silence of those that could have made a difference, I'm not keeping quiet. I am not keeping quiet. I am not going to keep quiet about Akenke and Akenke's story. If Akenke has been the situation concerning the sleeping arrangements has been rectified. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening to Stella Nyanzi. Thank you for giving Akenke a single room in which Akenke is now happy and comfortable. She doesn't have to share a bed with another human being that she doesn't know or wants to sleep with. Thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you for going to Akenke and apologizing and saying, "We are so sorry." I'm sorry, it is too late and too little. Akenke is just one out of so many other stories that we don't know and we don't hear enough about. Why don't you change the situation for all Ugandan asylum seekers? After you touch Uganda, go to all the East African asylum seekers. After you're done with East Africa, go to all of Africa. After you're done with Africa, go to the whole world. All the refugees and asylum seekers in the world must get the same treatment as human beings. Accord us our human dignity, our human rights, our equality. We are people just like you. So silencing me is in fact the most dehumanizing form of oppression one can give me. Don't dehumanize me. Don't silence me. You can't take away my voice. You will not take away my voice from me because as long as I'm human, I'm supposed to speak. And I speak because I'm a thinker. These German people who are used to interacting with Ugandans who don't think, they have grown into a space where they think they will silence all of us. Excuse me. My parents paid my school fees. I have a head that I have trained and a mind that my mother raised to speak out against violence, systemic, structural, historical violences against asylum seekers. I'm not a mad woman. I have applied my intellect. This is in PhD intellect to the subject and the matter. Anything that traumatizes me, anything that triggers me, when I work from a place of affect, of emotion, of pain, of rage, of anger, be very careful. Be on my side or go that way. Take your lines. And when the lines have been drawn, excuse me, if you're not working with me, sit down. Be silent because I'm going to do what I have to do. Stop silencing me. stop silencing me. Stop telling me to stop. My phone was taken by a police officer. There were 2 of them. A police case has been opened against me. Why? Because I spoke up. I challenged a system that's unchallengeable. Well, I am a challenger. When David went to meet Goliath, Goliath threatened. Goliath threatened. Goliath threatened and threatened and threatened and threatened and threatened and threatened and threatened. And little David, still smelling of sheep, picked 5 stones and a sling. I want to say I am David. The German asylum system is Goliath. Goliath, you're coming down if you don't rectify yourself. It would be wonderful if Goliath changed the status quo, stopped oppressing asylum seekers, especially women from Uganda. Okay? But all the others, I am little David with my 5 stones and 1 sling. David used 1 stone and Goliath came down. There were 4 other stones. Okay? I have got 5 stones and 1 sling. Goliath, beware. And all you other Philistines, we Goliath, stop it, because Goliath is coming down. When David came running with the sling and 5 stones, David came running with the sling and 5 stones, David came running, Goliath was pumping his big ugly chest. And David took the little stone and put it in the sling and went, down came Goliath. David ran and took the sword from Goliath and cut off Goliath's head. I am a David with 5 stones and no sword. I'm going to use the sword within the German system to cut down Goliath's head. Who is Goliath in this case? In the case of Akenke and all the other Ugandan and African and other world refugees and asylum seekers in the German system, Goliath is the oppression, the xenophobia, the homophobia, the transphobia, the segregation, the racism, the hatred, the structural violence and systemic injustices that we have to endure. That is the Goliath. And I'm going to use the very same structures and systems of the German asylum and refugee system to cut down Goliath. I'm coming into the asylum and refugee system so that I may use the very sword, the structures that have been put in place, the policies, the programs, the officers, the managers, the statutes in place to say stop oppressing refugees. Stop oppressing asylum seekers. Stop it, because we are human beings. Stop silencing me. Don't silence me. I'm not your child. My mother never silenced me. My father never silenced me. My lover, in fact, has not silenced me. It was wonderful to speak with my lover, David, today. He's on a national tour of his political party. And I say to him, David, people are threatening me, they're scaring me, they're telling me not to speak out about the violence that Akenke is facing. And David said to me, my love, I know you. You are an asylum seeker, but you're also an activist. You have been the voice for the voiceless back home in Uganda. That is why I loved you. I loved the fiery activist in you. Don't allow that spirit to stop. Don't allow them to silence you. And my lover said to me, my love, you haven't committed a crime. If you have committed a crime and you're found guilty, I will come and visit you in prison. So my father never silenced me while he was alive. My mother never silenced me while she was alive. My lover has not silenced me. Who are you to silence me? If you don't want to work with me in terms of challenging the system that's oppressing Ugandan asylum seekers, go do your stuff. I haven't invited anyone to help me. There is a group of us that is slowly forming and fomenting. We are going to write petitions, we are going to call out, and we are going to sue whoever is oppressing young and old Ugandan asylum seekers and refugees. We shall start with Germany, but we're going to go to the whole world, calling out for the respect and dignity of asylum seekers and refugees. My name is Stella Nyanzi. I want to thank you very much for listening to me. I'll be here tomorrow evening to talk about the issues that asylum seekers and refugees face in Germany. Thank you very much for listening to me. Have a good weekend. Bye.